There is no telling what kind of experiences you will have in the realm of bears. On one end of the spectrum, these guys are adorable and cuddly. And on the other end, they are going to make sure that they frighten the living daylights out of you. There is no middle ground between the two extremes. Exactly that, as well as other things, will be brought to our attention today, including situations in which the only way out was to spray bear spray on them. Let's get right in, shall we? Bear spray is a vital item that should always be within your reach, since you never know when you can be attacked by a bear. Always be prepared with the necessary. A struggle is taking place between this man and his sister, who at first mistook it for a lynx. This man is having to fight his way out of the predicament. While floating down the current, these people came across a bunch of bear cubs who started panicking as soon as they saw the people on the boat. They ran everywhere, and the man who was armed didn't want to scare them more than they already were. The cavalry arrives in the form of their mother, who charges the people with full intent to kill. The man has no other option but to use his gun, and he fires a round right towards the bear, but misses it, as it was just a warning shot. Aimed right at the bear, this man has his spray pointed right at the animal, who is taking its sweet time to get as close as it can to the man. The bear brushes up to the trees, and the man tries to keep the animal at bay by saying, "Hey bear," a billion times. The bear climbs up the tree as its excitement only grows, while the man is filled with fear with every step the bear takes around him. This is probably the animal being playful before its mood starts getting worse and dangerous. The bear has finally had it, and instead of running in circles, it starts proceeding towards the man in a straight line. That provokes him to the point where he lets out the spray, and it hits the animal directly. The bear starts running and does not look back once. Imagine waking up in your tent one day when you went camping, only to find out that there is a huge grizzly waiting for you outside. This poor man had the sudden realization that he might be in a lot of danger as soon as he woke up. The animal does not go away after he zips up his tent, and it begins to brush itself against the tent from the outside. He screams at the animal to scare it away. Ah! 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 And the rustling suddenly stops, prompting him to check if it is still here or not. He finally comes out of the tent, and the animal is thankfully nowhere to be seen. The screaming worked, and the man is finally safe from being clawed alive. This just might be his last time camping in a tent. Next time it might be in a truck, or not at all. This climber is already in a tough spot, as he is scaling through the sharp rocks on a cliffside. Little does he know that he is about to be visited by the local, who is 100 times better at climbing than him. The bear rushes in at full speed with the intent to grab the man. After using all of his strength and fists, the courageous guy manages to knock the bear down and force it to let him go. Following the guy's successful attempt to scare the animal, the bear launches a vicious attack, and the man only narrowly escapes. While riding down this mountain track, a couple of riders came across a scene that nobody wants to see or witness personally. A large grizzly bear comes running towards them at full speed and gallops beside them, as you can see here. As the bear descends the shortcut, it signals to the riders that they should halt where they are in order to avoid being intercepted once more. The riders then sprint back up to each other. The sound of them being so afraid that they're about to lose their minds is clearly audible. In a case of bad decisions, this man makes the stupid move of walking out of his car and right up to a bear to feed it. The animal, confused and annoyed, attacks him almost right away, making him run back to the safety of his car. The bear comes back out of the bush, and the man has learned nothing, as he still keeps standing right in front of the dangerous animal without a single thought in his head. Now the bear is just more confused than it was before. This family trip goes south the instant a bear runs up to their little snow fighting game. The little girl screams as the bear comes closer, and all that the other people can do is escort her to safety while everyone else yells at the bear. Next, we have a little dance between the skier and the bear, as the two keep each other at bay while the family makes its escape to safety and puts distance between them and the bear, who is still just a young one. From across the hill, this man begins recording the bear as it instantly realizes it is being watched as well. The bear stands up on its hind legs and looks right back at the man, trying to understand what he is doing exactly. After a moment, the bear swoops down into a charge, and the man leaves his camera and makes a run for it. The animal swoops right back up in front of the camera, where it stops, finally, as the man makes his escape. This park ranger makes a brave and selfless move by keeping people moving as the big grizzly is causing a tense situation on the road. The man is almost surprise ambushed by the bear, but luckily manages to get away in the nick of time and turn the tables on the animal. This hunter was certainly not expecting to come across a scene like this when he left the house, but he was able to come across a mother bear and her cubs while he was out hunting. Things take a turn for the worse as the bears draw closer to him and things become more chaotic. The mother bear becomes very angry and charges the group with her cubs right behind her. The hunters begin screaming, and one of them points his gun at them, thinking of the worst-case scenario. Luckily, the screaming worked, and the bear family runs off, free of any injury. Like the man from before, here is a person who awoke to the sight of a massive grizzly bear standing directly outside of his tent. When you consider the magnitude of that absolute unit of a bear, you will see that the bear is not in the least bit worried by the person right in front of it as it picks berries off the ground. There is a good chance that the animal is getting ready for the winter, and the person ought to be pleased that the bear is full. If it was not, then the preparation process also might have required a significant amount of meat to be consumed in their meals. This hunter almost had his bow and arrow broken and handed to him by this huge bear that fearlessly walks right up to the people as they too bravely stand their ground against the animal. The bear sniffs them as close as arm's length and casually leaves. The man is shown here having a pleasant interaction with the bear, as he's shown lying on his back and allowing the animal to make play with his shoes. The fact that the bear tugs on such shoes with its claws does absolutely little harm to them indicates that they must be made of very high-quality materials. Once the bear makes the decision to use more than one limb, the man realizes that things may go wrong at any moment. He then begins to kick the animal away, letting it know that it has reached the limit of time that it can spend playing with his feet. This lady was sitting by the lakeside and enjoying her day when all of a sudden her peace was disturbed by a bear that came right her way. At first the animal gets distracted by her bag and stuff, but that was very short-lived. Because the cubs are taking the initiative to pursue their interest, the mother becomes concerned. As a result, she takes matters into her own hands and forces the lady into the water. In a quick attack, the mother bear makes an attempt to capture her, but the courageous woman stays by herself and walks into the water. She does her best to not agitate the animals any further, while simultaneously being threatening to them.
Hey, Mama.
This man had the honor of meeting not 2 or 3, but more than 4 grizzly bears while out riding in the forest. The bears stand up one by one, and when their interest peaked, that was his cue to make a run for it before they come any closer. On this night vision camera, this homeowner caught a bear sniffing around his driveway for something to eat. You can't see the bear, but you can see its eyes reflecting any light they catch, making the video all that more horrifying. When the owner came out, the bear instantly stomped on the ground and growled at the man, warning him to not come any closer than he already is right now. It does this multiple times before giving up and creeping back into the darkness. This Japanese man has the fright of his life while innocently riding down the road on his bike like he probably does every day. As a gap between the vegetation comes, he spots a bear looking at him. That causes him to pedal his bike like he never has before. At this point, in the slow motion, you can see the animal glancing at the biker as he goes by, and credit where credit is due, the man has pretty good eyesight, don't you think? Since we were hardly able to make anything out of him. A bear effortlessly climbs on top of the truck and pulls this Chinese man off of it as he is unloading his vehicle. The bear came upon him when he was emptying his truck. The unfortunate man who was attempting to save his life ended up falling from the loader and landing with a significant impact on the ground.
He's right here.
If there is a worst time to ever walk up on a bear, it is when it is eating. And this group of people and their pet dogs stumbled upon a bear who was busy finishing off his meal. Instead of ignoring him, they kept getting closer and then sprayed him with bear spray. In the openness of this huge grassland, a pair of grizzlies approached a guy who most likely did not see them coming. They took a step forward and approached him. Things just start to grow more heated from that point onward as the animals start to examine the man, who has nowhere to flee to for protection. The individuals here have stopped in the middle of the road in order to take photographs of a bear that is in the woods and is being driven away by their dog. There is a dog following closely after the animal as it makes its way out of the trees and into the open road. The tables turn as the bear realizes that it is a bear and that the dog is smaller than it. It charges right back at the dog, and when the dog turns to the side, it diverts its attention towards the people holding the cameras right in front of it. Here is another view of what had happened, and from the perspective of the people that were almost chased. The bear runs out of the bush, followed by the dog, and then the flip happens and the people recording begin to scurry. Here is yet another incident in which somebody saw a bear that was standing next to the road and decided to stop their vehicle in the middle of the road in order to observe it. The inquisitive animal immediately climbs onto the Honda Accord and stands right next to it as it surveys its surroundings. As the bear makes its way across the road to the car filming, the individuals waiting inside are filled with dread at the prospect of the animal coming anywhere near their vehicle. The cute and cuddly guy behaves in the same manner as previously, standing on top of the automobile and keeping its paws on the hood. The bear stays there for a while, trying its best to maybe climb on top of the car, but keeps slipping a bit. It finally gives up after entertaining the family for a very long while and gets off the car. It goes back to walking around and foraging, leaving these people with a lasting memory. These hikers were following a group of cubs around the forest, and the little guys are running all over the place. The three little ones march along the road when suddenly the mama bear flanks the cameraman without him knowing. She tried her best to warn the person, and he understood right away because he knew this might just turn fatal at any given moment. The mother keeps calling her babies and then jumps to the side and disappears along with her cubs. Ignorance might be bliss, but it can also wind you up in jail. This woman got some time because she ignored the rules of Yellowstone Park by literally presenting herself to the bears and not even running after she almost got charged. This poor female was caught running away from a male grizzly who chases her down the hill. She manages to put a lot of distance between her and the male, leaving him with his jaw wide open and the people with an unforgettable experience. As the cyclist makes his way down the winding twists of this bike track, he is presented with a surprise that he certainly will never forget. During one of his loyal turns, he stumbles across a black bear who was in the area waiting for him and immediately climbs up into a tree. This is what you mean when you say that he had a fortunate escape, since the bear may have pursued him after being shocked in such a situation. Regardless, the biker keeps going and stops only when he has put a lot of distance between himself and the animal. A hiker encounters a black bear, and not just any black bear, one that probably weighs more than the average lot. It slowly makes its way over to him, and he has nowhere to go except backwards. In order to protect himself and his wife, he starts calling out, but to no avail. In the dense bush of this Japanese jungle, a black bear can be seen foraging around on the vegetation as the person keeps their calm while recording. It stops in the middle, giving them a chance to snap some good pictures on their phones. The bear walks off, but this guy is not letting it go that easily because he is just amazed by seeing the animal so close to him. His excitement can be heard in his breaths as he gasps in awe while running along with the bear. It is subsequently seen that the animal has crossed over to the opposite side, providing everyone with a complete view of itself. The pleasure of those individuals who take their time to videograph the animal only intensifies as they watch the animal pass across. These hikers stumble upon a pair of black bears on their track, and the animals seem to be making their way over to the other person, who can do nothing more than just hope for them to pass by without making a scene. The animals begin running towards him, and the brave man keeps his calm because he knows that now is the time to be a man and stand his ground. The animals walk by him with their attention right towards him, and now he can breathe his first sigh of relief. After they have crossed over, the bears make a break for it because it is not a pleasant experience for them to be in such close proximity to a human being whom they most likely consider to be just as deadly as they are, if not even more.